Hey kids, it's best not to do drugs. Why? Because it's bad for you, kills your brain cells, and makes you stupid. You could get arrested for it. And it's really addictive, which means it's really hard to stop doing. So if you don't want to go through all that stuff, just stay away from drugs. How is that so hard? I don't know what came over me there, that was weird. Anywho, you've read the title of the video. We're talking about the 20 best anti-drug PSAs, and unlike the video I just referenced, these PSAs are actually good anti-drug PSAs. The PSAs I'll be talking about today are ones that actually manage to get the message across in a very well done and creative way. So let's not waste any time, let's just get straight into the list.
Hey, little dude, send your mama and daddy out of the room. I gotta get you up on this. You know who I am. Snake, dealing in weed, coke, crack, your choice. Take one hit and you'll do anything to cop more. Steal from your mama, lie, cheat on your homeboys. But hey, that's the price you pay when you deal with dudes like me. Now, some folks will tell you that I'm dealing in poison. But hey, do I look like the kind of guy that would do that to a kid like you? Yes!
This one's just a classic. The main reason why it's on this list is because of the creativity of the Snake Man himself. Speaking about him, you should go pick up some Snake Man merch on my merch store at zakarmerch.com. Links in the description, baby. Anyways, the PSA itself is pretty standard, where they just try to scare the viewer into not doing drugs, and in this situation, crack. It's the creativity of this PSA that gets it on the list.
You look like a snake!
How about we took?
What, heroin?
Aye, smack. You're only smoking it.
Superb, your pride and joy, is it? 20 quid. Where are you off to?
Just off to the sports centre.
What do you think you're doing?
I wasn't stealing!
That's exactly what you're doing. Stuart, where are you going?
Any spare change, pal?
Another PSA that managed to make its way on here just because of the creativity of the PSA itself. The split screen is actually a really cool idea, but let me say the acting is not great at times. But the ending's actually pretty cool, where the two scenarios in the split screens actually cross paths at the end, where one of them's a homeless, drug addict, and the other one's just a normal person walking on the streets as they give that homeless person money.
This is my blog entry. I started using meth after high school. It made me more and more depressed. Voices told me my family would be better off without me. I tried to hang myself in a barn with a rope, but my convulsions made it break. So I took a rifle, put it under my chin, and pulled the trigger.
Now this is a depressing PSA, but in the best way possible. I really like how they just let David tell his story here, where he ended up going to a really dark place after doing meth, and he ended up trying to off himself, and he has to live with the irreversible consequences of what he did whilst on meth. More companies around this time needed to realize that PSAs like this are the ones that are actually effective. Even this company itself needed to realize that stuff like this actually worked, not the other stuff they were doing around the time, which was very mixed. But you know, just being honest to the viewer goes a long way sometimes, guys. Speaking of straightforward, these get straight to the point, but I really like the creativity of showing childhood memories over the person as they're ODing. It's a creative way to basically say that you're throwing your life away by showing a childhood memory over the face whilst they're ODing. I really like it, it's really cool. But there's not much else to say about this one.
I'm gonna try meth just once. I'm gonna smoke this just once. I'm gonna steal just once. I'm going to sleep with him for meth just once.
I'm going to try meth just once.
I really like how this PSA shows the potential cycle of drug use, where especially if you're in a family, and if you're doing drugs, you're going to potentially influence other people in your family or even friends to doing that drug, and it's not even intentional either. In this scenario, it's their younger sister, which they unintentionally influence them to do meth as well, which unfortunately I think happens way more than we like to think it does.
If I had asked, what does meth do to your brain? Does meth make you hear voices? Or if I asked, can't you just stop doing meth? My mom wouldn't be asking.
Oh God, what did you do? Oh, baby, hold on, please. Honey! Hold still, please. No.
Now this PSA is interesting. I like how it just starts with her face for the first 10 seconds, so when you're watching this PSA in the first 10 seconds, you're already intrigued. You're curious of what's going on. But the reveal that she ended up trying to end herself is quite disturbing. It's in similar vein to one of the previous entries, David's blog entry, where they feel like they have no other way out, so they try to end themselves instead of trying to stop doing drugs. Shit's really dark, but unfortunately that's the reality of the situation, but that's what I like about this PSA, is that it doesn't shy away from the reality.
Look at me, busy as a bee. Where'd I get all this energy? Oh, man, man. I don't sleep, and I don't eat, but I've got the cleanest house on the street. Oh, man, man. Get these hairs all out of my face. Get these bugs all out of my place. One more hit, no time to waste. Oh, man, man.
Thank God there's a PSA on here that isn't as dark and depressing as the other ones, thanks to the catchy song. That's what everyone likes about this PSA, is the catchy song. And I'm not gonna lie, this song will stay in your head for a week after hearing it. It is that catchy. But that's what makes this PSA extremely memorable, and there's not really much else to say about this one. I've talked about this one literally a million times.
These days, most people who get addicted to heroin start by snorting it. They think it's not as dangerous as using the needle. But the fact is, that's right where you'll end up.
A PSA I've never talked about on this channel? No way. I've actually never talked about this one before, but I really like the presentation in this PSA. Some David Lynch shit where the guy gets stabbed by a giant needle, but it's really cool and that's what I like. It's a really cool way to emphasize how dangerous needles can be when doing drugs, and even doing drugs in general is obviously dangerous, and the PSA doesn't shy away from that either.
It's the freshest of feeling, the coolest high. So pick up some heroin and shoot for the sky. Everybody's doing it, doing it. Everybody's doing it. drugs around. Everybody's doing it. Heroin for the rest of your life.
Another catchy song, but this PSA is a bit more disturbing than the Cleaning Girl PSA, and I actually prefer this one more. It just shows how disgusting heroin actually is, and it doesn't shy away from it visually. I wish PSAs like this had better quality versions out there, because it would be cool to actually see the details of the PSA itself. Unfortunately, there aren't good quality versions of like this one and the Cleaning Girl PSA. I have dug every corner of the internet to find it, but no. With PSAs, it's really hard to find good quality versions of them, especially older PSAs like this that are in like the 90s, 80s. Good luck.
In the Middle Ages, death by torture was an art form. One method involved placing a cage over you. Inside would be some rats. Soon, the rats would get hungry, so they'd dine on you. Whatever was left of you would then start to rot. Then, as you're slowly eaten alive, eventually you'd die. Today, people just take heroin.
Nice little metaphor here to emphasize how bad heroin is for your body. The visuals really don't shy away from how disturbing this can actually be with the rats eating the man alive, but that's what's so cool about it. It's a really cool contrast between the two things in this PSA, and that's what I like about it.
Ecstasy. Ever wondered what it does to your brain?
Another PSA from the same company, but this one's really short and sweet. It's only 15 seconds long, so there isn't too much to say about it, but it's so simple, and that's what I like about it. It gets straight to the point. And I feel like short and simple PSAs like this make it so memorable because it has that little amount of time to really make an impression. And I felt this PSA really does make that impression with the brain in the blender.
Today, 覚醒剤は家庭の主婦や青少年、サラリーマンを蝕んでいます。興味半分の一本の覚醒剤。それがあなた自身を廃人にしてしまうばかりか、あなたの家庭をも破壊します。
Damn, Japan's come swinging with this PSA. This one's honestly just sad because you feel bad for the child as they lost their mother to stimulant drugs. Also really like the imagery to emphasize how their mother passed away with just having a spotlight on the child with a black background. It's a really cool way to do it, and I think it works so well in emphasizing that point in this PSA.
Son, I figured when you were old enough, I'd talk to you about drugs. I'd tell you they're nothing but poison. Tell you to stay away from the garbage that pushes that junk. Only I never figured that I ought to be telling that to a 13-year-old.
If you don't teach your kids to say no to drugs, it's as good as saying yes.
A classic PSA that's actually good. But yeah, I think the twist in this PSA is fantastic. It's so 90s, but I think it's held up extremely well considering that this PSA is a 35-year-old PSA. There's nothing visually disturbing, but the reveal that he's talking to his dead son at a cemetery is really well done, where the camera just like slowly pans out and pulls focus to the background, where you can actually see he's in a cemetery. It's well done.
Come on!
wish I'd taken that shortcut through that empty parking lot. I wish I'd gotten jumped. I wish they'd broken my ribs. Put me in a hospital.
Mess him up. No!
But I didn't get jumped. I went to that party. I did meth for the first time. Now, all I do is meth. All I do is meth.
Montana Meth Project are always good at making disgusting PSAs. I mean it in a good way, because this just shows how disgusting they can be, like especially when you see the drug addicted person in the room, it looks disgusting. But that emphasizes how bad these drugs are, where this person would rather get beaten up in an alleyway compared to getting addicted to meth. Like bro, look at this room. This room looks fucking disgusting. You can't tell me it doesn't.
When I grow up, I want to be a teacher in high school. I would teach English and get married and have 3 children. I reckon it would be great to be a fireman. You get to drive the engine and you get to go in burning buildings and save people and stuff. I help Mum make scones and cakes. So when I grow up, I'll have a restaurant and all my friends will come there, and my mum and dad. I'm in the under-9s, and I'm a forward. I usually score a goal every match. One day I'd want to play for Australia if I'm good enough.
Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Finally, a PSA from my country. But I remember seeing this one everywhere when I was younger, and I remember shitting my pants. It was so popular that the government made follow-up PSAs, starting off with this PSA, but showing families talking about the PSA and things like that, and encouraging people to talk about the problem with drugs. So I think that alone shows that this PSA is quite effective, because a lot of people talked about it when it came out, and looking at it now, it's still disturbing as ever.
This is where he went into convulsions. This is the emergency room where he nearly died. This is where he smoked it again, right after he got out. This is where he hung himself, because he said he couldn't quit. And this is what I said when he told me he was gonna try meth.
Montana Meth Project back at it again. I think all the praises of the Junkie Den PSA apply to this one too, but I like it how it tells the story of a man that got addicted to meth and ended up ending themselves because of it. It's extremely dark stuff, but I think that's what works so well about it, because it's extremely realistic. It's what happens, unfortunately. Talking about that, I love the ending. I know this is one in a few in a campaign that did the same kind of formula as this, but they're all great. I love the ending where it's just like, and this is what I said when they said they're going to try meth and they decided nothing. It is so effective.
If you try to stop a friend from using drugs, you may not succeed. But at least you tried. And that's what friends are for.
A message from Concerned Children's Advertisers.
I've always had a soft spot for this PSA. The message in general is just a really good and positive message where you should be there for your friends no matter what. If they're in rehab for drugs or whatever it is, you should be there even if you don't succeed. You should always try and be there and help your friends out. It's really powerful stuff, but honestly, the one thing that ties this all together is the song He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother from the Hollies, which unfortunately I had to mute because thanks YouTube for the copyright claims. But you should go watch the original version on CCA's YouTube channel. Thank God they've archived their PSAs from the 90s and 2000s.
Another lesson from my neighborhood. Do you know how to tell if mom is overdosing on drugs? If your mom shoots dope every day like mine, you can only help her if you know the signs of an overdose.
An overdose?
Yes, an overdose. Don't call the ambulance if you're in doubt, unless she shakes uncontrollably or foams at the mouth. That's an overdose.
Okay, that's an overdose.
That's an overdose.
You could find her on the floor or find her in bed, and if you know what to do, she won't end up dead of an overdose.
Really?
Yes, an overdose.
Well, I don't know.
The signs of danger are simple to see. If she's twitching and seizing and can barely breathe, that's an overdose.
Yeah.
That's an overdose. That's an overdose. Mom always knows best.
We have an original song this time, and this shit slaps. The presentation and the puppetry is really good, and the ending where it all hits you is actually really sad. It sucks that people have to go through things like this, but I love the approach where they imitate Jim Henson's puppetry in this PSA to make it seem like it's child-friendly with all these dark and disturbing topics. It's really smart and creative, and that's what makes this PSA so memorable is its different approach to the PSA, where you only see like a handful of PSAs go for a really interesting and creative approach like this.
How much brain damage the designer drug ecstasy causes. It's still being tested. Take ecstasy, and you're the guinea pig.
This isn't number one? No way. Yes way. I still love this PSA and I've talked about it countless times, but I think there's one PSA that's actually managed to make its way past this one where I actually enjoy this next PSA more than this one. So let's go look at it.
Sarpy County 911.
I need help.
Where are you at?
Well, ma'am, I don't know exactly, but I'm freezing, and my girlfriend's here freezing.
Mike, I want to help you so bad, hon. I want to find out where you're at.
My phone's just about to die. You're my last chance here. We're scared. Please help us.
So this is my number one anti-drug PSA now. I've talked about this one many times before where the couple were out in a blizzard and froze to death whilst on meth. Shit is sad and disturbing. Especially when you just see a photo of the couple as you hear the phone call going on and you just have text explaining the situation. Shit's really sad. And this stuff actually happened back in 2005. There's whole articles and videos and stuff about it. If you want to go look into it, go ahead. But you're going to feel quite sad and depressed after it. So that is my top 20 drug PSAs. So if you like the video, you know what to do. Give it a like, comment your thoughts down below, and even consider subscribing. Also, you should become a Patreon or channel member for as little as $1 a month, where you can get your name at the end of my videos and get weekly shoutouts. And for as little as $5 a month, you can get early access to my videos. Speaking of shoutouts, let's get straight to them. Huge thanks to Smugly for supporting my cheeky little funds tier. Massive thanks to Ash Crimson for supporting my channel license tier. And lastly, massive thanks to Fatima and Victoria Huntley for supporting my Big Boss tier. If you want to find out how you can support the channel, make sure to click the little Patreon logo on screen or click the join button next to the subscribe button. Anyways, I'll see you on the next one.